tummies with the maggots now.
Today I will recap a 2023 horror film named Evil Dead Rise. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. The film starts at a lake house where a girl named Teresa is sitting by the water when she is spooked by her friend Caleb's drone. Caleb comes there making fun of her and she gets angry with him. She asks him if shouldn't he go and check if his girlfriend Jessica is doing any better, to which he says he gave her medicine so she would be fine. Teresa then goes to check on Jessica and finds her sleeping, so she sits by her side and starts to read Wuthering Heights. Suddenly she hears Jessica reciting something and gets shocked to see her sitting on the bed. She gets terrified noticing that she is reciting a passage from the page that she is reading, and then her voice becomes manly and horrifying. Teresa asks her to shut up, and as she starts moving towards her, Jessica becomes silent and falls down from the bed. Teresa goes to check on her and finds her unconscious, but suddenly she gets up and starts having seizures. Teresa checks on her and tries to help, but Jessica grabs her ponytail and scalps her. Teresa stumbles over to Caleb, who gets shocked to see her, and only then he sees the possessed Jessica. She grabs the drone and smiles at him before cutting her own face with it and falling into the water. Caleb jumps into the water to save her, but she pulls him into the water to kill him and throws his severed head at Teresa before rising menacingly above the water. One day earlier, a woman named Beth is at a music venue with the band she works with, taking a pregnancy test in the bathroom. She has a worried look on her face when she sees the result. Elsewhere, Beth's sister Ellie is a tattoo artist living with her 3 kids, aspiring DJ Danny, activist Bridget, and little Cassie, who has a fascination with the macabre. Bridget gets a knock at the door from a neighbor Jake, and his little brother Scott, as Jake has a crush on Bridget, but she declines his invitation to watch the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Beth arrives at the apartment to talk to Ellie, but the sisters are estranged and have had a complicated relationship with their mother. Beth brings them gifts, and when she takes out a gift for their dad, they all go silent. Ellie sends the kids out to get pizza and tells Beth that her husband left them 2 months ago. Beth asks her why didn't she tell her earlier, to which she says that she tried to contact her twice. Now Beth realizes her mistake and apologizes to her, but Ellie is furious. Later, while Beth is listening to Ellie's voicemails on her phone, she comes over to talk to her. She tells Ellie that she screwed up again and needs her help to fix things again. Now when the kids return from getting pizza, an intense earthquake strikes the apartment building, due to which they all get terrified. After it stops, Danny finds an opening in the parking garage. He goes into the hole and finds a hidden room filled with vinyl discs and a mysterious book, the Naturam de Monto, the Book of the Dead. He brings the book back to the apartment and shows Bridget, thinking Mom could sell it and get some extra money. But she says Mom won't cash something that he stole. He tries to open the book and cuts his hand, and his blood drips on the book. Bridget notices the book opening and they get shocked to see it, and when Danny opens the book, they see horrifying drawings in it, due to which Bridget gets scared and closes the book. She says she doesn't like and he needs to put it back right now. However, after she leaves the room, Danny listens to one of the vinyls, and the voice of a priest speaks about the nature of the Necronomicon, reciting an unholy incantation. He gets terrified and tries to stop it, but it doesn't, and the pages of the book start turning automatically. Meanwhile, Ellie is getting stuff while going back up the elevator, and we see an unseen force moving toward their building, and as she walks out of the elevator, she is suddenly attacked by an unseen entity, and the elevator starts going down very fast, due to which she faints. Now when she regains consciousness after some time, her head is aching. She screams for help and tries to get out, but only then she realizes that she is being accompanied by an unseen entity who starts torturing her, and then it painfully binds her with the cables in the elevator. The electricity to their entire building goes out, and Bridget tells Beth that it seems only their building is out. Danny checks the fuse and Bridget is lighting the candles when Ellie returns to the apartment, now possessed by the demons known as Deadites. She goes to the kitchen and switches on the gas and begins throwing eggs onto a frying pan, some of which are filled with blood. They are all shocked to see this, and Beth asks her what she is doing, and Ellie starts speaking in a calm voice about cutting her kids open and climbing into them before she starts to crawl after them. She then turns towards them and says it's not her, after which she falls down and creepily begins crawling toward them. She then vomits all over the floor, seeing that the kids get terrified, and the real Ellie manages to speak and begs Beth to not let the demons take her children, after which she collapses, apparently dead. Danny and Beth try to take her to the hospital but find that the elevator is broken. Beth gets help from Ellie's neighbors, Gabriel and Mr. Fonda, putting Ellie to bed. Gabriel and Mr. Fonda then attempt to find a way out through a fire escape to get help. Meanwhile, Beth speaks some words of regret over her relationship with her sister, and then suddenly Ellie and Beth's phone says she is burning, and her phone breaks. Now when she turns, she finds a fly in her eye, and she blinks and springs back up alive. The kids come there and find that their mother is alive, and Beth tells them that she is burning up. Beth and Danny try to put her in a bathtub filled with cold water, which makes her eyes roll, and she springs back up onto the wall. They all get terrified seeing this, and Bridget takes 𝐂𝐄𝐒 away from there. Ellie then crawls on the wall and lets out a deafening shriek, which is also heard by Gabriel and Fonda outside, and the mirrors of the bathroom also get broken due to this. She then becomes silent and falls back into the bathtub. But the next moment she comes out of the bathtub, and when Danny says Mom, she tells him that Mommy's with the maggots now. Ellie then crawls out of the bathtub, fearing that Beth and Danny come out. Ellie then also comes out of the bathroom with a glass piece and tries to attack Beth, and when she tries to save herself, the glass gets stabbed in her hand. Ellie then pulls it out and Bridget tells her to stop it. Ellie then turns and jumps on her to attack her, takes a tattoo pen to her face and cuts her cheek, and as she tries to lick her wound, Danny knocks her down with a chair, causing her to fall into a dark room. Only then Gabriel comes there, and as Ellie jumps on him to attack him, they come out of the apartment. She then bites Gabriel's eye out, and he throws her down. After that she coughs her eye out that enters into Jake's mouth. Seeing the opportunity, Beth locks her out, and Ellie begins banging her head on the door. Then after some time everything calms down and Beth sees from the peephole that Ellie chasing Jake and brutally killing him. Suddenly Gabriel gets up and asks for help, but Ellie comes there and kills him too by slitting his throat. Only then Mr. Fonda shoots Ellie with his rifle, but she attacks him and disarms and disembowels him. She then comes there and peeks into the peephole. Now Bridget asks Danny doesn't he think that Mom looks like the pictures in that book. Danny says this isn't his fault, and they both begin fighting. Beth stops them and calms them down, and Danny says he wants to show her something. He shows her the book, and she asks him what is this. Meanwhile, 𝐂𝐄𝐒 asks Bridget does it hurt bad, but she leaves there saying she is okay. After she leaves, 𝐂𝐄𝐒 hears her mom singing a song and she follows the voice. Here Danny shows Beth the vinyl and tells her that it contains a creepy passage from the book read by a priest over a dark prayer. Bridget checks that her wound begins to turn black, and only then she gets terrified hearing some noise. Here the pages of the book begin turning on their own, and Bridget starts oozing ink from every orifice in her face. She rinses immediately, but only then she pukes a huge amount of insects. On the other hand, Ellie tries to convince 𝐂𝐄𝐒 to open the door, and as soon as she opens the lock, Ellie immediately grabs her by the throat. However, Beth and Danny rushes there to save her, and Beth manages to lock the door again. They then hear some noise from the kitchen, and when Beth goes there to check, she finds Bridget crouched on the kitchen counter. When she walks towards her, her foot hits a pot, and she gets terrified seeing Bridget chewing on a wine glass. She then laughs looking at her and spits on her face, due to which she stumbles. Bridget then begins crawling toward her, but she kicks her back. However, Bridget cuts her leg with a cheese grater. Beth knocks her down with a stew pot and Danny also comes there. Bridget then goes after her siblings until she charges toward Cassie, who is holding the pointed end of one of her makeshift dolls, and she impales Bridget through the mouth, seemingly killing her. Danny then ties her up and puts her in bed to be safe. Beth then fixes Danny's equipment to listen to the vinyl and hears the priest talking about how he had to kill his companions that got possessed, seemingly finding no way to kill them until he had to completely dismember them. As this happens, Ellie tries to find a way back into the apartment by climbing through the vents and implicitly killing a cat crawling in there, while Bridget gets up and comes out of the room. Danny sees her as she tries to attack 𝐂𝐄𝐒, so he pushes 𝐂𝐄𝐒 to save her and stabs Bridget. Bridget then attacks him and takes out the knife and stabs it on his hand, and then pukes blood on his face. She then takes out the knife and says she told him to put the book back. However, he manages to set Bridget on fire using a pain relief spray. Here, while Beth listening to the vinyl, Ellie enters the room crawling out of the vent, and Beth sees her reflection in the glass standing behind her. She gets terrified that turns off the vinyl player, so Ellie uses her finger to play it, and the voice begins coming out of her mouth. Beth stabs her with a screwdriver on her neck, but that doesn't affect her, and only then Beth falls out of the room. She finds injured Danny there and 𝐂𝐄𝐒 hiding under a table, and Danny says sorry to 𝐂𝐄𝐒 before dying. Ellie then comes there and attacks Beth, but she senses that Beth is pregnant and almost takes glee in killing them both. However, 𝐂𝐄𝐒 slides a pair of scissors toward Beth and she stabs it in Ellie's nose. Beth then takes 𝐂𝐄𝐒 away from there and resolves to try and get 𝐂𝐄𝐒 and herself out of there safely. She takes the shotgun out of Fonda's hand, and we see that Ellie is alive and taking scissors out of her nose. Beth was about to blow the fire escape door when Ellie tries to attack them and Beth shoots her leg. Ellie gets up and tells 𝐂𝐄𝐒 that Beth is trying to take her mom away from her, to which 𝐂𝐄𝐒 says she knows she is not her mom anymore, and then Beth shoots her arm off as well. However, the neighbors that Ellie killed now become deadites as well, and while she kills Fonda, they see deadite Bridget and Danny and Ellie laughing at them. Beth and 𝐂𝐄𝐒 try to make their way down, but blood starts filling everywhere in the elevator. Meanwhile, Bridget and Danny begin digging into Ellie's body to form some kind of spider deadite. Beth and 𝐂𝐄𝐒 make it to the parking garage and almost escape, but Beth's car gets stuck in a pothole. 𝐀𝐄𝐒 looks back and tells her that it's coming, and she sees that spider deadite coming towards them. However, when it reaches their car, they manage to get out and hide. They then run for their lives and nearly run out until the deadites grab 𝐀𝐄𝐒 and drag her away. They nearly decapitate her with a chainsaw until Beth reaches there and shoots them with the gun. They throw that chainsaw at her, causing Beth to fall, and she was about to grab the chainsaw, but they grab her leg and drag her. The deadites activate a wood chipper and try to pull Beth in, but 𝐀𝐄𝐒 manages to turn it off. Beth grabs the chainsaw, and as deadites moves towards her, 𝐀𝐄𝐒 turns on the wood chipper and Beth slices it into Ellie, Bridget, and Danny, forcing them into the wood chipper. Beth looks on in remorse as she has to kill her sister, niece, and nephew, but she throws deadite Ellie's head into the wood chipper. 𝐀𝐄𝐒 cries about the loss of her family, but Beth comforts her and takes her out of the building. The next day, it's revealed that Jessica lived on the floor below Ellie and the kids. She is getting ready to join Caleb and Teresa until she comes across the gory scene from the night before. The unseen entity then goes after her and makes Jessica scream, and the movie ends here. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.